Thank you so much. I almost feel like I need to take a moment to just sort of allow what we've just witnessed and heard to sink in. Powerful stuff, Angela. And thank you for being a witness for such things. And I almost feel embarrassed to read my own poems now because a lot of them are about myself, but they're never really just about me. Like I never really am just writing about myself. I'm writing about what it means to be a woman in this world, to be mixed blood, to be living with chronic illnesses, to have witnessed violence, been at the other end of violence, like a lot of the things. And so it's interesting what compels us and what draws us as writers. And so that's been what I've been drawn towards as an Indigenous woman, very aware of the murdered, missing Indigenous women and girls, the lives that they're living. And that I am a guest, an uninvited guest here in New Westminster, which was the land of many nations. I'm not exactly sure how many, and that may sound insensitive, but you know, it's really hard to figure out sometimes. I believe native land says 11 nations, but yet one nation that I thought was that's listed on native land said, no, that's not accurate. This is not their homeland. So let's just say that many Coast Salish nations had kinship with this land. And I do believe in part that's because the access to the river, Fraser River. So like the Métis, we did not like to limit access to the river. So when we had our lots in Manitoba, we would have long, skinny lots because we weren't like, oh, I'm going to get all the river and you can be back there and try to figure out how you're going to get water. We would have long, skinny lots called rangas. So we believed in sharing things like that. So I think that was true of the nations here, that they use this land to travel, to get in and out of the waters. And I do have a connection to these waters. My great-great-grandfather, three greats, I think, Jean-Baptiste Boucher Hu'qumi'num, he was a voyageur, an interpreter, and he was the guide for Simon Fraser. So the river's named after him, and it was my great-great-great-grandfather that brought him here, and then went on up to Fort St. James, and there settled and went on to have 17 children with a mixed blood Sekani woman. So I have some connections to BC, but mainly my ancestors are in Manitoba, and I have a lot of my writing's been about that. But this new book I'm working on, it's a bit cheeky. The title's called Save Your Prayers, Send Money. And it's really a cheeky response to the fact that there's so much inequity around health. And that if you don't have the money to take care of yourself, it can be very, very difficult. And this idea that we have, you know, we all have health care, yes, to a certain point, we can go see a doctor. If we could have a GP, we would be lucky. But after they give you the prescriptions and the things that you should do for yourself, you may or may not be able to afford them. But also just the strain of living with low income, I think it affects your health. And then it's a very complicated picture. Your upbringing, like your intergenerational trauma, like I think about all that, which fits with what you were reading, Angela, those effects afterwards. I think about that a lot for children who, even if they didn't witness, but their parents witnessed, like my father being in the Korean War, would cry when he got drunk. He would end up crying about what he had witnessed during the war. So really, my writing is trying to document, in a way, it's been documenting my own search for belonging. So it's really looking at all of that. And I was very aware that I needed to heal my mind, my body, my spirit. So I've been a bit of a seeker, and I've traveled many paths since my early 30s when my mother died, and I got sober. So I got sober about 10 days after she died. I believe she went up to heaven. I don't believe in heaven myself, but I think she went where she wanted to go. And she was like, somebody's got to help my daughter out, because I met someone 10 days after she died that took me to my first meeting. And from there, I entered sobriety. So some of what I've done has been a lot of fun. Some of it's been challenging. A lot of it's worth it. I call myself a recovering New Ager. And I really feel that I loved that community in many ways. I had a lot of fun with those people, and there were many good people there, but there was also some serious problems. And so I really am trying to write a bit about that as well, trying to unpack that experience of, I've got a line in one poem, the cults came calling. And there really was, I grew up in a time when the cults were really, really going for it, right? And so I've had a guru and I've been part of many interesting things. So I'd like to start with a poem, though, that's going to be in my new book, and it's a little bit talking about health and how complicated things can be for some of us. And it's called It's Complicated. So again, triggering perhaps. The thirst for honesty became a twinge between bones, made brittle by lack. Osteo offered as explanation. Big toe pain, orthotics, feet inflamed Achilles tendon, calcification in neck, unheard of, or simply rare. No treatment offered. Silenced again and again, making it necessary to swallow big gulps, air bubbles, all that was dismissed, traveling bowels, impacted until I threw up every day for 30 days. Tests revealed esophagus burning becomes a concern. Acute diagnosis, misdiagnosis. Something missing stings, shows up in other places. Sores in mouth, places I shall not name. Swelling, so much swelling until CBD, an answer to an allergy, expensive. Diets offered as first defense against the enlarging, and always the cascade of online suggestions. Have you tried yoga? Lemon cleanses, turmeric, I have a friend who was cured. She saw a shaman in South America. There was a ceremony, ayahuasca. I don't tell them that I once laid in a bed with chakra-colored pen lights created by a man of faith, John of God, celebrated con man, sexual predator, a healer, celebrated by followers, and I, desperate to be healed, to be made worthy of wellness, so everyone could see I did try hard enough. So sometimes when you're not well, there's a lot of suggestions. And there's also in the New Age world, there was this implication that if you weren't healing, there was something wrong with you, that you weren't spiritual enough, or that you weren't trying, or that you liked this, as if anyone would like this. And so that was where I began to fall out of favor with that world. I just started feeling like, no, this is not for me. And so feet on the ground, more feet on the ground than I had before. I was really loved floating. I loved meditating. I loved many of the things I did, but I really had to get my feet back on the ground and become much more practical. And in recent years, my husband's been ill as well, so 5 years with him. So we moved to a seniors building about 3 years ago. When I moved here, he was in the hospital and I was told to go and say goodbye to him. He was dying of COVID. So I go to say goodbye to him. I'm in the middle of packing. It's quite a stressful time, needless to say. And thank God I didn't throw out his clothing because he didn't die. I love that man. The minute I saw him after 8 weeks in ICU, he got that little twinkle in his eyes, Irish, and he said, wouldn't it be funny if I got better now that I've seen you? So much in that statement, right? Like he hadn't been able to have visitors, and I made me think how important it is to have people with us. So this is about living here in this building. We were in our own world. Like everyone had COVID and had changes in their life, but here it was very different. There was so many people that were getting sick. The ambulance were coming constantly. People were dying. We were really, really close in with seniors, people who were 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. And it was really something. So this is called Witnesses, and it begins with a quote from a book called Inflamed, Deep Medicine and the Anatomy of Injustice, a fabulous book by Rupa Myra and Raj Patel. Rupa Myra is a singer, songwriter. I've actually got to listen to her recording a song once here with some indigenous folk. She's from the US. She's also a doctor. So this woman is unbelievably talented. Yeah, so the book is quite interesting. So coronavirus brought a cascading collapse, our bodies strained by a virus. We were inflamed. Even Mother Earth had a fever. There was fire, a coordinated response, subsidies for the rich, and offerings from social media miracle workers, boundary setting the new instant cure. Especially when paired with affirmations posted on mirrors, the repetitions reverberating off bathroom walls, rolling off tips of tongues until they became daggers dipped in regret. Most of us unaware that a multitude of beings share our bodies, that we live in the echoes of forever chemicals, that no one is holding the rim. Some suggested forest bathing. They know that the soil remembers us, that our health starts in the ground under our feet. They know that our bodies are filled with ancestral beings, that we hold trauma in the folds of that we hold trauma in the folds of our intestines, our skin the border guard, lungs tucked away deep inside our chest, still susceptible to fine particulate matter searing the night sky, settling disproportionately in the lungs of the poor. Some more exposed resist the return to normal, ask us to unpack the impulse to defend society, while the immunosuppressed write their wills, sign DNRs, their exposure to smoke setting off a cascade of inflammation, an angry response to we are all in this together. Too many lived alone in the liminal space of here and not here. Our low-income seniors' housing, once vibrant, became an island of despair, where we all prepared for our departure, witnessed the leaving of others. It really did feel like an island of despair, and it's really not that all the time. It's quite a vibrant, lovely, wonderful community. So I'm just going to check the time. Okay, so I don't like to just stay in the problem. It's kind of a thing of mine in my writing that I really like to move through into, and in my life that, okay, so now what? So I love this quote that I found in a book that is a fascinating book called Power versus Force. And he says, there's a hidden coherence in all that appears incoherent. So it's an interesting book, quite a new agey book really, but I still like some of that stuff. And what if that's true? What if there is a hidden coherence in all that appears incoherent? What if the ache in my body could be replaced by a question that's not yet fully formed? It searches for the words to explain the way that struggle can coexist with inner peace, unshakable, unexplainable. So I do a practice called Continuum with my writing mentor, Ingrid Rose. She does a thing called Writing from the Body, thinking about some of the teachings we learned there. So we learned about sea squirts. So apparently our ancestors are sea squirts, the first invertebrates. And so we come through that chain. And I like this as my own creation story because as a mixed blood, I don't have a creation story to claim. And I always feel like, oh, geez, what's my creation story? Well, mine is that I'm using science, really, and the magic of continuum, which is an interesting practice. So this was written when I was at the Royal City Center Mall and thinking about all the people who gather there. A lot of us go there because, if you can't afford fancy lunches or expensive coffees, you can go there and not have any coffee, or there's $3 coffee. And so it tends to have a lot of people who are looking to just be with people, sometimes not even talking to each other. So this is called In the Swaying a Memory. We all rode the waves of knowing, not knowing, that we are one, that we all rose from the sea, that we are all muscle memory, many neurons firing inside an evolution, rhetoric incoming, a constant attack, inside, outside, so many veto points. And somehow, in the midst of it all, I delete all my emails. One compassionate act for my body, unintended, and later that day at the mall, a sign. Do not lean on the glass. I smile, write that down. It could be a poem. Find a table at the food court, open a book, turn to science, a lineage I can trace back to water, the sea squirt waving, all of us clumped together, our rounded bodies firmly fixed to coral, water in, water out, we resonated, left room for each other. Our watery movements, muscle memory, I can feel. Imagine all of us swaying in the food court. No one knows what I dream of, that we could synchronize, move as one, if only we could remember where we came from. Mother's womb, the reminder of our watery beginnings and days when we were sea squirts, swaying, moving as one. So there's a theory that, we could our blood memory, cellular memory. So there's a memory of such things within us. And so I just imagined us in the food court that, we're trying to get back to that being together and kind of just swaying with each other, which is fascinating. So I had 140 people swaying the other day when I read that poem at Creative Mornings. I suggested at the end of the poem that everybody sway, and they were such good sports. They all started swaying. We had so much fun. Anyway, I'll just end with one poem here that, again, I'm always searching for, like, I don't know what to name. Is it the creator? Is it God? For a while it was God, then it was goddess, then it was God, goddess, then it was the creator. Like, I've just been through Great Spirit. I've been through so many things trying to figure out how to name, and I've decided not to name anymore. Returning. She is the washcloth, the water caressing my skin. She is the strawberry, the whipped cream melting in my mouth. She is the chant, the many voices singing, we all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return. She is returning, she is turning, a wheel of many spokes, a wheel in the water, churning my body awake, asking me to remember, she is everywhere. So I've been through many iterations of what to call Great Spirit, Goddess, God. It's, it really, I don't believe it matters anymore. The ancestors, I pray all the time. And I believe that whoever's the right person to be listening is going to be listening, is the conclusion I've come to. And I do believe, even though my book's titled Save Your Prayers, Send Money, I do believe in the power of prayer. I've benefited from it greatly, even in terms of writing, the gift of lines that come to you when you ask, how do I say this? Help me, help me say this. Anyway, thank you so much for having me, Laura, and Angela, for your beautiful reading, and for everyone's wonderful, kind attention. It's just so wonderful to share new poems with you. Thank you. Thank you.